coming to you live from Mobile, Alabama, site of the Senior Bowl. We're at Ladd Peebles Stadium watching the South team practice. And as always, at this time, we do it with Michelle Kaufman. We have our Inter-Miami report. Inter-Miami fans, for months we've been talking about the team. We talk about it every week. And now we finally have real soccer happening on the field. And Michelle is covering the football like nobody else. Follow her on Twitter at Cop Sports. More importantly, catch her work at the Miami Herald website. Michelle, good afternoon.
Hey, it's cold here. It's probably about the same here as it is there. When I went to practice this morning, it was 39 degrees. I actually wore a fleece and a ski cap. And the players were freezing. We have some pictures of the players like all bundled up with neck things on, and it was cold. It was windy. The main thing is it was very windy.
Right, yeah, that's usually what kills you. It's not so much that it's, that degree. It's then the wind is just slicing right through you, which is amazing. All right, so first couple of days here. So walk us through.
It's been fun, actually, to actually have a team. They're having training camp. Monday was the first day, so I've gone all 3 days. And, there they are. There's 22 soccer players there wearing pale pink training shirts with black stripes and black shorts. And, there's coaches and players, and it's for real. We're doing interviews with them, and it's a real team now. I mean, it feels very tangible. I'm getting to know the players a little bit, which ones are chatty, which ones are quiet, which ones are boring, which ones are interesting. Every team has its mix. And, one of the things that's real interesting with this team is that, there's a language barrier, which there is a lot of times in soccer, but on this team in particular, it's about 2/3 Hispanic and 1/3 not. And so, you have 2/3 of the players don't speak a lick of English and 1/3 don't really speak a lick of Spanish or very little. So, so it's kind of interesting. The coaching staff is almost all Hispanic. So the practices are basically being conducted in Spanish. All the instructions, everything is in Spanish. And then there's one assistant who's yelling out some translations in English for the ones who don't understand. And, little by little, both sides have said that they plan to learn the other. So the Spanish guys are saying that they're eager to learn English, and some of them are rooming with American roommates during training camp so that they can practice their language. And then the American guys are saying that they want to brush up on their Spanish a little bit so that they can all communicate better. But, the other mix is you've got the language mix. Then you also have MLS veterans on the team who are in their mid-30s, have been in the league for a long time. They know what MLS is. They know all the teams. They know the rivalries. They know the stadium conditions. They know what it's like to travel across 3 time zones. And then you've got these guys coming from other countries who have never gone across 3 time zones to play a regular season game. They don't really know anything about the league. They don't know anything about the other players or the teams. The traditions. So, there again, you have the MLS veteran guys who are maybe not the big names that the fans down here know, but they are guys who are going to be very critical in the success of this team. And I wrote that was in today's paper and online, is that the role of these MLS veterans is going to be huge because they have to introduce the rest of the team to the league.
So, Michelle, right now, they don't have the whole team, right? We're still waiting for a couple of big additions, correct?
Oh, you're waiting for 6 players. According to Paul McDonough, there are 6 players that are still yet to be signed. And one of them is Nico Figal, who is actually in camp. He's an Argentine player who's been on the Argentine national team and played for Independiente. Very good player. He was actually in camp already. They're just sort of finalizing the deal with him, so they haven't announced it. So it's basically him plus 5. But Paul said there are 5 more players that are coming. Presumably they're all going to be internationals. 2 of them will be designated players that will be the highest paid ones, and then the other ones will be internationals that are, more regular salaries.
Okay.
But yeah, they're planning to add 6 six more players in the next 2 weeks, probably.
Okay, and that this is going to be quite a challenge for the coach to get that kind of consistency and flow with this team, especially in this first half of the season. I mean, if they plan on being winners right from the get-go, this is a hell of a challenge considering you don't have, is it contracts? Is it visas? What the hell's going on with these guys? Because you'd like to get them all on the pitch already.
Yeah, he said it's work permits for several of them. It's work permits. The contracts are done. The terms have been settled. They're waiting for work permits from their particular country. So I think there's one guy from Scotland. There may be one from Colombia. This guy from Argentina is already training with the team. So altogether, he's saying there are six more pieces that he thinks are going to, quote, put the team over the top. So he's waiting. He said, could we start, the season with this group we have here? Yes. But could we compete to be on the top? Maybe not. There are six more pieces that are going to put the team over the top. He called special players. He said we have a few special players yet to sign that are going to put the team over the top.
All right. So are you convinced and confident you know who those special players are?
No. I'm not even talking about rumors anymore because now the rumor today is Sergio Aguero. I mean, every day from Man City, every day there's a new thing, and they've all turned out to be false. So Luis Suarez is not here. Edinson Cavani so far is not here. They talked about Gareth Bale. He's not here. So I'm really waiting. And then David Silva, which is the one that I kept thinking is definitely coming. But the holdup, I think, with him, and maybe with some of the others, is this is pretty critical. Some of these guys want to come after the season, after the European season. And those seasons end in May, and then they have, Europa Cup, Champions League, Copa Libertadores, whatever. So they wouldn't really get here until the end of June. And Paul McDonough said yesterday, now maybe he'll change his mind for the right player, but he said, I don't think it makes sense to use a DP spot for a player that we're going to have basically for 10 games.
Right.
He doesn't want a guy to show up in July and play 10 games and spend that kind of money. So he wants to sign somebody now who will join the team now, like Chicharito just signed with LA Galaxy, which is a huge signing. And he will be here. By the way, the home opener for Inter Miami is against the LA Galaxy on March 14th. So Chicharito will be playing in Fort Lauderdale against Inter Miami. And so Paul wants to get the DPs that are willing to come now. He doesn't really want to wait until July to get them when they're already tired, exhausted. Then they're going to want holiday time. You know how these guys are in soccer.
Right.
So if they've played a whole year and then they've played tournaments, then they're going to want time off. And he doesn't want that. He wants guys that are committed to want to come right now and start in training camp and be part of the team from the start. So, time will tell who these quote-unquote special players are, but I'm not even going to venture a guess because I'm tired of, hearing names and rumors and none of them coming out so far.
So let me ask you, Michelle, why haven't they just told us those names? If they have an agreement with them and it's more about visas, then why don't we know what the names are at least? What's the big deal on hiding the names? I don't understand that.
Well, the league doesn't allow you to announce anything until everything is finalized, including, and the league doesn't allow any announcements or discussion of any player unless they are fully already have their work visas, they are cleared to play, they've got everything cleared. That's when the team is allowed to announce it. So, I believe that there are players who are already, ready to go. The press release has been written. They've got the contract signed, sealed, delivered, and they're waiting for the work visa so that the league will allow the team to announce them. That's what I've been told because I asked the same question.
Michelle Kaufman, of course, from the Miami Herald. She covers Inter Miami, and if you want to follow Inter Miami, then you follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports, and then catch, of course, the Miami Herald at your doorstep or online at heraldsports.com. Michelle, so practice, let's walk the public through this. how much of it is it open to fans? How much will they be able to see their team before they actually take the pitch in a preseason game?
Well, there won't be any. Right now, it's all closed. Even the media just gets 15 minutes at the beginning, which is basically, jogging
Stretching.
around and stretching.
Yeah.
As far as the public goes, there will be 2 public games that people can go for free, but it's in St. Petersburg, so you have to drive.
Oh.
They're playing the Philadelphia Union on February 15th. Saturday, February 15th at 4 o'clock is Inter Miami's first actual game, public game against Philadelphia Union, Alejandro Bedoya's team, MLS team. So that should be big. The 15th of February, then the next week, the 22nd, again in St. Pete at the same place at Al Lang Stadium. They're going to be playing the Tampa Bay Rowdies from USL. And as far as watching training, they're not going to allow any open training until February when they're back at their actual facility in Fort Lauderdale. So, but it's closed to the public. Then on Saturday, they're leaving for Port St. Lucie. They're going to train for 1 week in Port St. Lucie, also closed to the public. Then they go to Bradenton for another week, also closed to the public. Then they come back February 4th to February 7th to the 14th. They're going to be in Fort Lauderdale. During that time, it's possible there will be open training. They said for sure the last week of February, there will be some open training at the Fort Lauderdale facility. And then the 2 friendly games in St. Pete. That is going to be where fans can see the team.
Okay, so walk me through the method behind the madness of all this traveling, yet they're not open to the public, so you're not really selling the team to those communities or anything along those lines. So why is all this movement around? Why not find one facility where you could be at for several weeks, and that's it?
Right. Well, it's mainly so they can play games. Many MLS teams are in Florida for spring training. So, a lot of them, they're not the only ones. I mean, most of the teams from up north, for example, Philadelphia, New York, a lot of teams, USL and MLS, they come to Florida for training. They train in Orlando. They train in Bradenton at the IMG Academy, which has many, many great fields. Some of them train in, in Delray and Port St. Lucie, this kind of places. So they want to have games and scrimmages, which are going to be completely closed, even to us. There's one against the New York Red Bulls. That one is going to be in Fort Lauderdale, closed to everybody. So, they want to be able to train against other teams. And the main thing with this team also for being away from the public and even the media is they want to bond. They don't know each other. I mean, these guys literally just met over dinner on Saturday night. They don't know each other at all. They don't know anything about each other. And, they're behind. The rest of the teams, other than Nashville, the other new team, all the players know each other. They're coming back to camp. And, this team, they wanted them to be away from their families, away from Super Bowl week. They don't want them down here during Super Bowl week and all that craziness, They want them to be in a quiet place where they can just be in a team hotel together, bonding, getting to know each other, and just working full-time on the field.
Michelle, when is the stadium ready? When is that all set? Obviously,
the stadium itself. Hold on one second. Just so you know, I'm arriving at Rusty Pelican at the valet parking for the Diego Alonso press. The formal introductory press conference is coming up right now.
At Rusty Pelican?
Just give me one.
At Rusty Pelican. Well, what a rough life she lives.
It's a rough life. Yes.
Wow, she gets to go to a press conference at Rusty Pelican.
Hold on one second. I'm on a radio show. Hold on.
No problem.
Okay, hold on one second, Bigo. I'm just getting out of the
hilarious.
car.
Yeah, this is good.
I know. Hold on. Let's see. Yes, I'm here for the press conference. We'll check it out. Yes. Okay, I pay after?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, the Herald will pay.
All right, I took out speaker now. So anyway, so the idea of being away is really, part of it is their facilities are not ready, so they can't train in Fort Lauderdale yet, so they need to move around. Number two, the idea is not really to sell the team to all the markets. It's really for the team to get to know each other, train on first-class fields, which are not available everywhere, and certainly not in Miami. other than Barry University and a couple of places, you don't really have, I mean, there are no world-class fields where grass fields, not turf, where a team of this level can train. So Barry is one of the few places that does. That's why the U.S. national team trains there. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United, like every team that comes to Miami, they go to Barry University because they have. But outside of that, they need to go away and be able to train where the other teams are training. And like I said, Bradenton, some are training in Orlando, some are training in Delray, Port St. Lucie, those areas. So that's why they're moving, so that they can scrimmage and get as much experience as they can. They basically have 6 weeks to put together a team, and these players don't know each other. And like we mentioned earlier, there are 6 players still to come. So they have a lot of work. They have a lot of work to do in the next 6 weeks.
And out of those 6 players, 2 of them are the international guys because they already have one because it's the youngin that they signed a couple months back.
Yeah,
right?
2 of them are right. I think all 6 are going to probably be international. As far as I don't think they're like U.S. players because those are MLS guys and college guys that they already got. My feeling is that the remaining players will all be probably from abroad. 2 of them will be the highest priced ones who are the designated players. And then 4 others will be, good players that are, cost money, but are not like the huge salary DP guys.
Now,
So, yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of pieces. You would presume that those 6 guys are probably all guys that are going to play a significant role on the team. And there's 11 people on the field, and 6 of them, are not in camp yet. So they have a lot of work to do.
Now, Michelle, and we'll wrap it up with this. I'm sure they're going to tell you, and they'll tell you all the good things. They won't tell you anything, if struggling or whatever. But how's their first round pick? Is he in camp? Is he looking good? The first couple of
he's
picks.
in camp.
They're
in camp. They're in camp. There's no way to tell because all they've done is, can I tell you, how do they jog? They seem to be, they know how to jog. They know how to stretch. They did a little bit of ball work yesterday that we got to see, not very much. It's hard to tell. It's really too hard to tell anything as far as how good they're going to be, from what we've seen in practice so far.
Okay.
But, it's interesting. It's really, you've got a blend of college guys, MLS guys, foreign guys, young, older, English speakers, non-English speakers. That's why they want to just take them away and isolate them, which really does make perfect sense. They don't want them here where they just go to practice and then they all go home to their own individual apartments or houses and they're with their families and their kids and girlfriends and go to South Beach. And, that's not going to accomplish what they need to accomplish. So they need to be isolated, hunkered down somewhere in a boring city in a boring part of Florida where there's not so much nightlife and where none of their girlfriends and spouses are. So that's why they're traveling.
Okay. And by the way, now that they're playing, has the media contingent changed? Have any national, international, or is it just you?
Yeah, I'm actually no. I'm going to be actually doing an interview with BBC on Friday. They're coming over. They're supposed to be maybe here today at this press conference, and then out at training tomorrow and Friday. So everything involving David Beckham is huge news in England. So the BBC sent a crew over to do a big story on the whole launch of the team. So they're here, and yes, there's some national interest in the team for sure. SI.com and ESPN.com. Those kind of national websites that do cover soccer pretty well. Those kind of outlets are definitely paying attention to this team.
There you go.
Everyone's paying attention. Everyone's very curious. Since I spoke to you last, I was out in LA for media days. I'll close up with this. So I got to go to MLS media days. We spoke last Friday. I think I was out there, right?
Yes.
I was getting on my plane.
Yes.
And, there's a lot of interest in this team from the national media, from the other players, from the other PR directors. They want to know what's going on. It's, Miami is just this mystery team, it's high profile because of David Beckham and because it's Miami and sexy and glamorous and all this, but people don't really know, what kind of team is this going to be? And that's what everybody is waiting to find out. So we'll see. I'll know a little more today. I'm looking forward to meeting the coach here. We haven't had a chance to speak with him at all. He basically came over and said, hello, welcome on the first practice, and that's it. Those are the only words we've heard from him. So we're going to have a formal press conference today, and I'll get some time with him one-on-one afterward, and hopefully get to know him a little bit, and I'll be able to share some more.
There you go. Good stuff as always. It's always a great segment. If you're an Inter fan, it's must listen. Michelle Kaufman, a must follow on Twitter at Kauf Sports, and catch her work there at the Herald Sports site or on your doorstep as always. Michelle, thank you for taking some time. You are the best.
Sure, thanks. I've noticed one thing with the Hispanic players that they're already calling it, they call it Inter, like the players. Sí,
Okay.
yo iba a venir aquí al Inter de Miami, Inter de Miami. So that's definitely going to be, the nickname. The Miami part may be dropped. It's kind of like Inter de Miami. So
Right.
That's how the players are calling it. Al Inter, sí, vine aquí al Inter, Well, anyway, that was kind of interesting.
Because there is, a couple of other Inters, so that's probably why we have to throw in the Miami one there instead of Milan. So
right.
Yeah.
But in the United States, there's no other Inter. It's just us.
Just us. That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, take care. Thanks for calling, and we'll talk again next week.
You are the best. Thank you, Michelle.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
There you go. The great Michelle Kaufman chiming in with their Inter Miami segment. We did a whole show. We did like 2.5 hours, but we were waiting for Michelle, so we added that. We will be back in a little bit, so stay tuned on. If you follow us on YouTube and even on Twitter, we'll give you the link when we're back on again, and we're gonna keep watching practice here because I'm watching practice. They're doing special teams work here as they wrap up the first practice. And then the North team will come over and we'll get to see a little Jordan Love and Anthony Gordon. So looking forward to that. And then if we got interviews, we will then have them on and we'll go on live. We'll try to get something after the second practice here on the program. We thank Michelle Kaufman. We are going to sign off now. We'll come back. You guys be good out there as always. Yes?
Herbert has looked amazing.
Herbert?
No, I'm joking, man.
Yeah.
I just want to be. It still doesn't change my mind.
Yeah. Although he threw a decent out pattern on one of the tight ends that were running to the sidelines. He actually threw it.
Straight up, man, it's about his immaturity.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's all it is.
And Miami is not the place you want an immature guy.
No, definitely not.
That's a lot of problems.
Definitely not. I don't think it's something that Flo would want to deal with. All right, let's take a break. We'll shut down for now. We will be back shortly in a little bit, but we'll see you in a few. Thank you, as always, for supporting us.
See you in a little bit, guys.